Hello everybody, Kirk here with Space Pickle Designs. Today I have a super special video for you. Danielle Wickes was kind enough to send me a few samples from her shop, and she sent me one of her bead mixes, which is called Starseeds. And so I used Starseeds as well as her fire polish that she has in her shop, and I think I got one of the last tubes of these 8-0s with the cuts on them, but any 8-0 will do. That matches your colorway. And so if you'd like to see how I make this Starseeds inspired peyote necklace and earrings, then just keep on watching. Alright, so your supplies for this necklace are going to be some pliers to flatten out your fire line. I'm going to be using 8-pound fire line and smoke. I'm using a lighter to burn the ends of my fire line. I have a stop bead here. I have 2 bead bugs. I have a beading tray. I have soft flex in medium in the turquoise color. I have a couple findings here. I have 2 crimp tubes, 4 6mm jump rings, a clasp, toggle clasp. I have 3 focal crystal beads here in a colorway that matches my beads. I have the Starseeds bead mix here from Danielle Wickes, and it is amazing. She still has those colorways on her Etsy shop. She doesn't have the little the mixes, but she does have the tubes in a set for you, so I definitely encourage you to pick those up. And whenever you see her release mixes like this, by all means, please pick these up, because I'm filming the supplies list after I've created all of the seeded beaded components, and I still have about half of a container full of seed beads. I'm also going to use some of these fire polish beads that she sent me. These are in a 4 to 5mm, and these are amazing in color. I just love that like brushed aluminum look they have to them, and I believe she still has these in her shop as well. I'm using some 11-0s in a gunmetal color, and some of these 8-0s with the cut on them. She was so kind to send these to me as well to work into a design. I have some pliers, like I said, and then I think that's it. My needle that I'm going to use is a size 10. I love me a size 10. She's a thick girl, but I love using thick fire line and thick needles if I can, so I will force it. This would be good with 6-pound as well as 11 or 12 needle. It doesn't really matter. This is a very forgiving project. Okay, so what I'm going to show you how to do first is to bead weave your components, and these are just going to be peyote tubes, and these are even count single peyote. And I'm going to show you how to do the striped one, just because it's the easiest way to kind of show you the technique. And then you can go off and do your own designs, whatever you want to do. So what I'm going to start with is a stop bead. And this is just one of those fire polish beads that I had. I leave about a 4-inch tail, and that's so I don't have a hard time weaving it in. What I'm going to start with are 12 of the same color. Okay, so I've got 12 on my needle here, and I started off with the matte teal. All right, so we've got those. I'm going to bring them all the way down. And then I'm going to start with my second color, because this actually will be 2 rows when I'm done with this next color. So to do the stripes, you just do 2 rows of the same color, and how to start that off is just doing all the same color, and it will turn into 2 rows, and you'll see what I mean. The next color in my lineup is a yellow. That one was a little thin. So yellow, your thread is coming out of the bottom here. You skip the one that's right there, and then you go into the second one. So like this. All right. And I find that it helps if you keep your thumb on this little loop here. So when you pull it, those beads kind of sit a little bit better. You want them sitting side by side. So just like that. All right. The next thing you want to do is pick up another of the yellow beads, or whatever color you chose. You're coming out of this bead. You're going to go skip one and then go into the next. So this is what it's gonna look like. All right, tighten it up as you go. This is what we have. I'm gonna get another yellow bead, skip one bead, go into the next one, like that. Pull that through, pull it tight. Just keep continuing by skipping one and then going into the next one. Ooh, flew out of my hand here, sorry. All right, yellow, skip one, go into the next. It should pop into place. You'll kind of feel it snug in there. And this is the last bead on this row. I'm going through the last matte teal bead in this little setup here. All right, so this is what we look like. I actually don't turn my piece, but if you are more comfortable going upwards like this, you can. I kind of like holding it all in the same direction. So I'm picking up another yellow. So we're doing two rows of the same color to get that striped effect. And once you get that second row done there, the one with the first row of yellow, it's just cake after that, because you're just going through the up beads here. All right, last bead on this row. All right, dope. And then I'm just checking my piece here. Okay, so next one is blue. So you do 2 rows of blue. And you're just going through the up beads. Even count peyote is just so easy. Not mindless, but it is like relaxing. Just going through the up beads here. All right, again, we're doing 2 rows to get the stripe look. Nothing to it really, but I think, like, especially with these bead mixes, those just doing little designs like this is how you can make multiple different projects without it looking too similar. Right. So we're finished with the blue. The next color is this nice, like, it looks like a Ceylon color. I don't know if it is. It's like a pearlesque, like grayish color, grayish pink almost. I don't know. It's tough for my eyes. But it's a nice shiny color here. Very pretty. And again, we're just going through those up beads. If you're still having trouble with the peyote part, there are tons of videos on it. All right, so again, we're still in that nice, like, pearlescent white color here. Last one. Okay, now we're moving into the matte gray. Right, second row of the gray. There's so many different designs. You could even do like zigzag designs or stripe designs, like a diagonal stripe instead of vertical. Done with the gray, and our last color is going to be the pink, the berry color. Second row. All right, so you'll know you're finished. You don't have to follow my pattern, but you'll know that you're finished with your tube when you see that this row has 6 and the second row has 6. So each row has 6 even though they are offset. So really you did 12 rows. All right, so all we have to do now is zipper it up. And so if you can see, when I fold these two, it looks like a zipper. Like our up beads are offset from one another, so it makes it super easy just to zip up. And I'll clear this and I'll try to zoom in a little bit so you can kind of see what I'm doing. But we're only going to be going through the up beads on both sides. And so when we fold it, what you want to do is connect it first by going in through the first matte teal bead on the other side. You will head over, hit up that berry bead that is upwards on the side here. So it's that first toothed bead here. You don't have to pull it super tight because we will do that at the end. The next one, it's going to be our third teal bead here. And it's an up bead. This one over here, you're going to cross over. Again, we're zigzagging into the berry up bead. Once you get good at this, you will be able to do 2 at once. So you can just kind of hit those up beads just like that. Okay, again, the matte and the berry up bead, go through it on a diagonal here. We're hitting the teal and hitting that berry bead. Just like that. All right, we've got another diagonal set here. So the teal and the berry. And then you should be back to where you started your piece. Now, in order to kind of make this all mold together in a tube, you do want to go where your stop bead was coming out here and connect that teal bead to the berry bead. Okay, and I just went diagonally into another bead here just because it just went in there. And what we're going to do now is just kind of weave through a couple of these paths, making sure not to expose your thread. I'm going down into a berry one to 2 berry ones if I can. And I'm just threading my tail in. So what I like to do is change direction at least once. So I'm coming out of this berry bead. I'm going to go into the matte gray. Wiggle, wiggle. right? And so now I'm gonna go up a couple beads here. I do like making that turn. And just, yeah, you just feed it through a couple beads. And what I do from here is I will cut just a little bit. There's like a little tail there. And then I'll take my lighter and make a little bead and kind of shove it down. We're so far away from where it was connected that it should be okay. Even if it unravels just a little bit, you'll be able to repair it and by cutting that thread off. But I haven't seen that happen in all my years of beading. Not saying that it doesn't. All right, so this is just the tail. I took some pliers and made a little flat edge so I can thread my needle here. And if you see all those black marks on my fingers, it's literally just because of the thread. There is like a pigment to it. There's like a residue on it, so to speak. And so I just take this, and what we're gonna do again, we're coming out of our matte teal. We're gonna go back down through the piece. We're gonna do the same thing that we just did with the other tail. And so I'm gonna take it, and I wanna take it through some of these blue beads here. Diagonal, I went through 2, got lucky. And now I'm gonna do the crossover and come back up. Because again, we wanna change directions at least once. And you don't want to come out of the top bead, so I'm just stopping one less. And we're gonna do the same thing. I took my needle off. I'm gonna probably expose like a 1/4 of an eighth of an inch. This one was a little bit longer, that's totally okay. And I just push the bead down and into the bead here. And so here is our tube. And so I just did a 12 bead start with 12 rows, and then I sew them together. So these are my stripe ones. They're very cute. So I made 4 of those. I've made 4 just random mixes here. I like those. And then I made these. These are a different kind of stripe pattern here. So 4 of those. I made some with just some like kind of like a gunmetal color. It wasn't in the mix, but you can certainly just take specific colors out of the mix and make your tubes, which I've done here for a couple of colors. And so I'll be using those too in the necklace. So yes, go ahead, make as many tubes as you want in order to make the length of necklace that you want or the design that you want, and then meet me back. And if you saw, that one component took about 15 minutes from start to finish with weaving in all the ends. And so yeah, just count that time in if you are looking at kind of like calculating costs. All right, so I have made 18 components here, and you see that this takes up a lot of space here. But I just wanted to show you that even though I made 18 components, so I made 16 components with just solely the bead mix here. And I have about half of that bead mix left. And so this is what we have left in the bead mix. And so we've still got quite a bit of beads left. And so I just kind of wanted to show you that you might be able to even make 2 of these necklaces with 1 bead mix. So it goes a long way. What I'm gonna do is, because if you can see these crystals, I just had these 3 lying around, and I wanted a focal for this piece, and I looked through my stash and I saw that these beads had like all the colors of the bead mix in them. So I'm gonna make this the focal, but we just, right now, all we're doing is doing some stringing. So we're gonna take the soft flex that we have here, and I pulled this because it is the same, almost the same color as the beads in the mix. And so I am going to not cut, let me see, I'm gonna cut 20 inches at least probably a little more than that. I want this to be about an 18-inch necklace, so I'm going to cut probably 22 inches just so we're not starving for thread. If I wasn't on camera, I would probably be a little more frugal, but I don't want to struggle and have you guys watch that. So what I like to do, I have my bead bugs here, but I want to see how these look strung up, and we'll have to gauge whether or not we need to bring some spacers. And so we could do it like this. We could put some of these cut 8s that she so kindly sent over, and I think this is actually gonna look much better with these. So I'll pick one of those up, and these are just special beads. They're an 8/0, but they have a cut to them so that when they are on a piece, they will shine. So here's one with a nice little facet there, if you can see it. So it's a seed bead, but it definitely catches the light. And so I think, yes ma'am, that this focal looks a lot better than just the beads together. So what we do now is we play around with the pattern. I kind of divvy up my my little tubes here on, like, I want to have kind of like the even numbers on each side of the different designs. You could actually color block them if you wanted to. It's just a design choice. I'm going to use these and some of those cut 8s as spacers. I'm going to work my design, and I will show you what it looks like in just a moment. All right, here's the pattern I came up with. I decided on going, after measuring my neck, I decided to go with an 18-inch necklace. And so that means I did have 4 left over. So if you're kind of looking for the same-ish size, maybe only 14 of these tubes will be needed. But these I can use for earrings for sure. I can make a matching little pair here at the end. And so this is my pattern. I kind of want to show it to you up close, so I'll zoom in. At each end, I did 6 of those 8/0s, and then I did a pattern of Firepolish 8/0, Firepolish 8/0, Firepolish 8/0, and then in between all of the tubes are just the 8 Firepolish 8, and then this is my pattern that I chose. So I started from the middle and did my little focal set here. I did the spacer with the Firepolish, I did my lines, then I did a solid, then I did a scatter, then I did a solid, then I did a different type of lines, then I did a solid, and then I did a scatter. And so with this, even though they're not exactly symmetrical because the colors on the solids are different here, I believe it does create a cohesive piece. So let's go ahead and kind of just get our hardware on here, and we are almost done. So we're at the end of one of our sides here, and I'm gonna put a crimp tube on. This necklace is not very heavy, so I don't feel the need to put a wire guardian on there. And I'm just gonna make a regular little loop here about this size. And I am going to use my magic crimper. And I found with my magic crimper, if I don't do a complete squeeze on the first little round here, it actually makes the process go a little bit easier. And because before I was smashing it down as hard as I could, and I think just it was just struggling kind of working with that. And so as you can see here, the bead on that is pretty just gorgeous, if I do say so myself. And so now with these 8/0s, they will go on a double strand of soft flex, right? And so I just want to feed these on, feed on my Firepolish. If it will go, I'm not sure if it will. And so it won't, so I will back a couple beads out here. I will clip off my soft flex. And so we're in a few little beads here. It's not even necessary. I just like to. It's just a mental thing, a little minty thing. And so what I have here, I have a good excess of soft flex here, which is good because I can just put that in my little save pile. And so what we're going to do is just the same thing on the other side. I'm feeding in my crimp tube. As you can see, I've got quite a bit of real estate here. So I'm going to go through 4 of these 8-ohs again on this side. All right, we're just going to pick out 4. And then this is where the finessing happens. I do want this necklace to be snug, but not too much so, because I don't want it too snug, because I don't want these 8-ohs falling into the tubes here. So just make sure your necklace is bent, you get it where you want it. And I'm gonna just take down some of this excess here and match the loop on the other side. So we just compare loops. This one is just a teensy bit bigger here. Hold them up, make sure it looks good, and it does. And now I'm gonna do another magic crimp, and again, I would say go about 70% in, turn, 70, 70, 70, and then like it just comes together crazy simple. And I found this method has what's consistently given me the best magic crimp. And so I'm just cutting off the excess, wiggling those 8-ohs, right? And I have about 6 inches here to work with, and I'm gonna put that in my little save pile. Now, the fun part, we get to see what she looks like. So I'm gonna take my new pliers here. I'm gonna do double jump ring method on these guys. And so again, on each side, we do a double jump ring. I love that little peak of blue on the soft flex. It's just so cohesive. I'm struggling hard with this jump ring, holy moly. All right, here we go. All right, so I noticed this little ring here doesn't have like a little attachment point. So I just brought out an 8mm jump ring to use as an attachment point. That is new to me. I've never had one that's like that. I might actually get 2, but just for this video's sake, I'll just show you here what we kind of come up with. And we're gonna again do the double jump ring on this. Alright. And then just for looks, I am gonna grab another one of those jump rings. Another jump ring here. I just like a double jump ring look. I don't know what it is, but let's see if it works. It does. I love the pop of blue from the soft flex. Soft flex is the best for sure. And so this is our necklace. Look at her, she's so cute. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on a bust and show you what she looks like. All right, so here's what she looks like on a bust. And yeah, this project takes a little more time. It's like 10 to 15 minutes per little tube here, but I think the outcome is just stunning, and it is made so easy with these designer bead mixes from like your YouTubers or your favorite little small business stores, because you just buy one mix and you have all of these options here. So let's go ahead, make a little pair of earrings to match, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, so sorry folks, my footage for the earrings did not record properly. And so these are the earrings. So I used 2 of the same design tubes. I have this other design here, and I'll just show you kind of how to put it together. So I take about 5 to 6 inches of soft flex, and I'm going to use the same soft flex color that I used in the piece. I'm just going to show you here. You're going to have 2 fire polish, 4 of the 8 O's, and this is per earring. And you're going to need 2 crimp tubes. So what you do, you take your soft flex, you take an 8O, you take a fire polish, you take an 8O, right? I kind of like to offset my soft flex like this, so you have a longer and a shorter. You put the tube on, and so you bring your soft flex down to where you make the loop the size that you'd like. You put on your first crimp tube here. You will crimp it. And the way that this crimp looks, it doesn't matter. So if you just really want to practice your magic crimper, by all means, do it. This crimp will be hidden within the tube. So it does not matter what it looks like as long as it's functional. That one actually turned out pretty good. Pat, pat. Right? And so this is where you start building your closure. And so you can also adjust the size of your loop at this point. And so what you do now, since that crimp tube is already well within the tube, the peyote tube, I take another 8O, another fire polish, an 8O, here, and you bring it down. Then you bring your last crimp tube here, you bring it down to the piece, you fold it through. It is only going to go through that 8O. It will not go through the fire polish, which is fine. You just do a little bit of adjusting of what size you want your loop to be here. This is where you adjust. And I make a pretty small loop at the top here. And so again, it's just a little bit of adjusting, and it's going to be pretty easy on the first one and a little bit more difficult on the second one because you're making sure that your loops kind of match. Right. So, magic crimp again. I say 70 to 80% on that first crimp. You turn 70 to 80%, and then you can go ham sandwich. And again, make that really pretty bead there. I bring my 8O all the way up, and I try to cut as flush as possible. And then you bring the rest of your beads up, and your tube will sit just so. So right here is the component. You just add your ear wire. You can twist your peyote tube whatever direction is pleasing to you. And this is what it looks like with stripes, and this is the one with the horizontal stripes. So they're just same thing, just different designs on the peyote tube.